The following series of videos weren't made to make anyone no-hit the game, nor speedrun for that matter. It was designed with a more casual flair in mind. The purpose is to give a helpful nudge for those that are either struggling on a part or just want some tips. So before the video begins, I will encourage anyone to at least play through the game of their own accord, and use this series only when you must. Welcome to the How to Get Gooder at Kingdom Hearts, the one series on YouTube that will make you better at Kingdom Hearts while entertaining you at the same time, and will probably be all in your face about it. Time to put the big boy pants on. This is where I'll explain how things are going to play out. I'll be going through the worlds, through story beats and boss fights, while along the way getting chest locations. My reasoning for this is the first game is kinda simple with chest locations. As you gain more skills and abilities, you'll be able to get more chests. Whereas things like emblems and synthesis items can be saved for their own video. With that out of the way, after getting absorbed, we find ourselves in Traverse Town. Now, we could do a little exploring here, but the only things of interest is the candles at the restaurant and the mailbox. But we can't do anything with the candles yet, and the mailbox requires postcards, which we will get along the way. But first, we go to the accessory shop where we have a little exchange with Sid. It's not important, he just gives us a hint to head towards the second district. But before that, let's get this chest. Also, we have some postcards we can get out of the way. Outside the accessory shop is an open space with some crates. We can use them to gain access to the roof where the chest contains a postcard. Next to the accessory shop is the item shop, which sucks for me since I can't just say shop and confuse anyone. Anyway, in the item shop, we have to strike the ceiling fan and to get a postcard. Near the entrance to the second district is a Sly Cooper safe, but we can't open that yet. We enter the second district, which will continue the story along, and start spawning in shadows. Now, the game wants us to fight our way back to the accessory shop, but before that, kill all the shadows, and up on an awning of the boots and shoes shop is a chest. We can jump to it by using this lantern, which contains a postcard. Now, here is where I want to say, it's up to you, if you want to, fight all the shadows here, but for whatever reason, if you run past the shadows, there is a chance that the story won't progress for some reason. So this time, kill all the shadows along the way. When you get Sid telling you to keep looking out for your friends, or looking for your friends, that's the cue that the story has progressed. Now we just leave the accessory shop and encounter Leon. Okay, so fuck everything I said about fights in part 0. This is the first real hard fight in the game. So hard that the game will continue along even if you lose. But unlike Riku, Leon only has 2 things that can trip a player up. 1. He has insane damage, of course. Hope he is stacked on potions either from the island or stacked on pretty stones to buy some from the item shop. 2. Staggering him is inconsistent, and that means he will get some what feels like cheap hits in. So let's beat this guy. First things first. Get to a better area with some more space to work with. Then, we're going to do what we did to both Tidus and Riku, and bait out attacks. Leon has 2 moves. That's right, only 2. One is a fireball, the other is a 2-swing combo. The combo is what we want to bait out. So, what we're going to do is allow Leon to get close to us to perform said attack. When he swings once, immediately attack. If timed right, Sora's attack will tech Leon's second swing. Now I know this is going to sound stupid, but don't follow up. You could if you want, but like I said before, Leon doesn't stagger all the time. The only way I have noticed to get a good chance of staggering him is to wait for him to launch a fireball. And since we're baiting out attacks, We can tell when he jumps back, there's a chance he'll launch a fireball. And yes, I said chance. You know, working on this made me realize how fucking cheap this guy is. Anyway, when he does do the fireball attack, we simply jump over it and perform a combo. Rinse and repeat. Also, taking Leon's second swing is also a nice way to get some little extra experience. With Leon out of the way, as well as some story beats, we found ourselves in a hotel room with Leon and Yuffie. Talk to Yuffie and she'll tell about unlocking chest, which will allow us to unlock the chest in the room as well as that safe in the first district. Then we talk to Leon and say we're ready. Some more heartless attack and it's time to face another boss. We have to make our way to the third district. We have to get there through the second district since the door connecting the first district and third is locked for now. But before that, the end of this alleyway contains a chest. After reaching the third district and gaining both Donald and Goofy as party members, we have a little scuffle and then it's time for the boss fight. Behold guard armor. This boss has multiple attack points, both legs, both arms, and the torso. We want to lock on to the torso and then start jumping and attacking. By doing this, we'll be in the air to avoid any stomping the boots may do. When the arms start spinning around the torso, as long as we keep attacking, we have a high chance of taking them. And of course, Donald and Goofy will be doing stuff. Now, when the guard armor still has some of its body parts around, it will launch itself in the air, shake around, and slam down, which can be avoided by simply moving away, which I'll admit I never did the whole fight. Now when the guard armor is only a torso left, which by the way every piece you defeat will drop health orbs, so you too can also ignore the slam down attack. Instead of a slam down attack, it will start to spin around and then launch towards someone, most likely Sora. Now the way to avoid this attack is to attack at the right time. If you don't get it, don't fret. It is pretty hard to get the timing down. Well, honestly, for me it is. But keep beating on the torso and you should win the fight. With the boss done and the party officially banded together, we find ourselves back in the first district, where we received 500 money and an elixir. Now we can use the money for potions, ethers, and accessories and such. Your choice. Then we can go ahead and open the safe to get another postcard, and since we're here, we might as well turn in the postcards we did collect. If you want to save some time for the next visit, you can return to the third district, and where you fought the guard armor is a double door with a keyhole that you can lock onto. Interact with it to unlock the door between districts 1 and 3. After that, all that's left is the emblems, but as I said, I'll save them for later. With all that out of the way, it's on to the next world. Alright, what if I told you that despite this being, well, Wonderland, it's not the most confusing world to navigate, funny enough. But that's for later. For now, just move forward and make our way to the bazaar room, where we push a bear. Trust me, do this first to save time. And then we drink from the bottle to become small and also spawn some enemies. Anyway, the bear was blocking the entrance to the Queen's Garden, hence you saving time by pushing it earlier. In the Queen's Garden, we see a trial for Alice being held, where the Queen is accusing her of heart thievery. But we know she's innocent, and it's up to us to find some evidence to prove this. So make our way to the Lotus Forest to collect some evidence. There are a total of 4 we can collect, though we really only need 1. I'll explain later. The first one is going to be to the right in this small clearing in the Lotus Forest. The second one is on top a giant lily pad at the end of the forest. We're going to get that chest over there, don't you worry. The third evidence is on top of the stove in the bazaar room. The way to get it is by going to the small clearing we collected the first evidence, jumping on some mushrooms, to get to the top of the big tree where we can enter the bazaar room and land upon the stove. The fourth evidence is on top of a china display at the bazaar room. To access it, we need to give this yellow flower a potion to become giant, or normal size technically, and jump on the stump to make a lily pad rise. Then we take and eat an apple from the top branch of the tree to turn small again. And then we just make our way back up using the mushrooms and use the newly risen lily pad to access the bazaar room and reach the fourth evidence. Now, before I talk about the two chests that we can get in the Lotus Forest right at the moment, I want to talk about a little misinformation about the evidence that even I fell privy to. When you encounter the Cheshire Cat for the first time, he tells you about the evidence scattered around, and I quote, 3 are essential to find, 1 is tricky, find all 4 to receive a prize. Now, I thought that the prize was obtaining ice magic early. Since you can just pick up 1 evidence and move on, the game will allow this. Then you have to defeat the world boss to unlock ice magic. However, that is a straight fucking lie. So remember the 4th evidence where you must, jump on a stump, lily pad, yada yada? Well, that evidence will get you the ice magic early, not all 4. In fact, here is me getting the evidence. Receiving the ice magic. Presenting the evidence to the queen, and as you can see, I only got 3, not all 4. That leads to questions like, why bother getting all 4 then? I'll say why, but before I go too far, let me say how to get those 2 chests real quick. 1 chest will be directly next to the big tree. When you climb up the mushrooms to get to the bazaar room, it's just there, no other way to say it. The 2nd chest is the one I told you we're going to get, which to do so requires us smacking the tree to get the branch to rotate. Just make sure you drop the apple first, as you can't get to it when the tree rotates. Then you just stand on the rotated branch and perform a jump attack to reach the chest, which I already acquired, but trust me, the chest is here. You'll see it in your playthrough. Now back along the story and presenting the evidence to the queen, I can now say the reason someone would even bother gathering all 4. You have a higher chance of the culprit being a Heartless. The less evidence you collect will have a higher chance of the culprit being Donald, Goofy, or even both Donald and Goofy. But no matter what gets presented, the queen loses her shit over Alice not being guilty because the Queen of Hearts is known as the most unstable card, obviously. And the showdown happens whether we like it or not. During the scuffle, we are required to break a tower. That's it. Ignore the cards, ignore the fact that you can attack the queen to get the hardcores to stop attacking, just attack the tower to break it. And if you get unlucky and 1 or all of your party members were chosen as culprits, they will be in a cage that you have to attack and break. But trust me, if you collect enough evidence, that will be rare. I actually tried to get video of it, hence the inconsistent shit like me showing getting a chest that's not there, or showing all evidence locations while presenting the queen with 3. But oh no, Alice done poofed, which pisses the queen off. Who would have seen that? Now we're tasked with finding Alice, because fuck everything we just did, the queen really wants to spank her. Now we're tasked with fighting a boss in the bazaar room. But before we can do that, we have to light some candles on the ceiling of the bazaar room. Now along our journey to the ceiling, which is actually straightforward, we're going to be getting a lot of things done within this world. Well, as much as we can without high jumping and flying, of course. Back inside the Lotus Forest, every entry point will lead us to us walking on the walls now. So follow along, okay? Enter the hole at the top of the tree. It's the one that dropped us on the stove. It will now lead to what I'm going to call the chimney room. When you first enter the chimney room, you will have to partake in some combat. Once the Heartless are taken care of, the flower pot should extend, allowing you to jump on the chimney. On the other side of the chimney is a faucet we can interact with to raise a water pot by filling it with water, which becomes an entrance to the Queen's castle and allows us another chest. Going inside the chimney will lead us to another wall in the bazaar room, which I guess I'll call the painting room. In the painting room, there is a shelf holding a bear that we can knock down, a candle we can light which activates the painting, but we will ignore this for now until a much later visit in the game. Another candle which lighting will give us a chest from a lion head inside containing a defense up, and that's really it. There is a hole at the top of some books, but that will lead to the Lotus Forest, which is where we need to be to gain access to the ceiling. Now I know you may think that it's the boulder the flower spat up. No. Now of course I still recommend getting the big normal size Sora to push it into solid water, which if we jump on the lily pads, it will take us to an area where it leads to the other side of the Queen's castle for a chest. But where we need to go is at the back of the Lotus Forest. There is an entrance that was blocked by a boulder before. This will take us to a tea party. While we're here, we can interact with an image of the Mad Hatter and the March Hare. Do it enough times and the game will tell you to take your seat. Now you can start sitting around the table to receive prizes. But be careful, as 2 are traps. And no, I'm not going to spoil the surprise. Next to the table is a smushed in cabin. This cabin will lead us to the ceiling of the bazaar room. Now that you know how to get to the ceiling, I recommend waiting on lighting the lights for a moment, as there is some things we could do in the normal bazaar room. We need to be big, but we can retrieve something stuck in this book, make the bear swap seats to get this bunny clock to take shape, which we can move to show a new entrance, and that's for now. Enter the new entrance, which will lead to the balcony of the cabin for a chest. Now we can enter the cabin to reach the ceiling again and begin lighting candles. The first candle will get this flower pot to take shape. No, we don't have to immediately go down to the flower pot. And the second light will spawn the world boss. Making our way back to the bazaar room, we are tasked with climbing the table to start the fight, which is the reason I said get all of the other stuff done, as you won't be able to drink now. But we can interact with the plant to get some items. You can save this after the fight if you want to, but there's no reason. The boss is pretty easy. The Trick Master. So what this guy will do is perform various obvious swings towards the crew. Sometimes he swings once, sometimes he swings twice. While you either through the use of the table or just jumping and swinging, deal damage, move away, wait until a slow attack, go back in for the attack, rinse and repeat. He will occasionally get stunned, allowing for some nice combos. I recommend just jumping and attacking, since he can make the table spin, as well as making both the table and chair disappear, which is just annoying, honestly. Now, when he is around half or lower on green health, he will enter phase 2, where he will use the stove to set his maraca things alight. So now he has 2 new attacks. One is where he places his hands together and shoots a tracking fireball, which you can dodge roll to avoid the damage. The second is where he will do some hops while twirling his maracas on one side, followed by a hop, then switching to the other side, repeated. This move can be avoided by just being on the side he isn't attacking, as well as just keeping your distance. When the maracas extinguish themselves, this is where you could rush forward to get him some damage, since it will take some time to relight the maracas. Just know that every time he lights them, he will always do the homing fireball, but this guy should be easy work. Also, before anyone says it, yes, I intentionally left out the detail of using ice magic on the stove or his maracas. I did it because it's a waste of time. Extinguishing the maracas will do nothing, he will just relight them. So I guess if you suck at dodging the fireball, then fine, it may be useful for you. But when it comes to using ice on the stove, whenever a Trick Master enters second phase, he will slam the stove and cause it to relight any fucking way. So don't worry about it and win the fight. Lock the keyhole and move on. One final note, if you decide to interact with the flower pot after the fight, when you make your way back to this room, you may have to partake in a fight, which will get you a chest, if I remember. On our way to the next world, I recommend stopping back by Traverse Town. There are 2 reasons for this. The first is using the ice on the restaurant candles to unlock the chest, as well as buying any potions and shit since we are here. The second reason is cause the next world we're heading to is Olympus Coliseum. And if you try to go the other way to get here, you'll get trapped in deep jungle, but that's for later. Now, lucky for me, every visit in Olympus is a fairly quick one. During this visit, we get the chest by the Coliseum doors, enter the Coliseum, and get told to move an object way too heavy for us and complain about it, where it leads to us doing some training, aka breaking barrels. The first version is easy. I trust my assistance won't be required here, as the game gives you more than enough time. The second version might trip some people up, so for this one, I recommend getting all the barrels around the structure out of the way. Then, as you climb up the structure, just try to make the barrels fly into other barrels for faster braking. Completing the training gains us Thunder Magic. After proving ourselves in training, we're told we suck and to get lost until the game decides we're ready to participate in the games. So we leave and receive a ticket to participate in the games. So we return back to participate in the games, which is just a series of fights with enemies we already tangled with. So it shouldn't be too much of an issue. Though note, there is no healing throughout the fight, so use any potions as you need to. One of the main events in this visit is of course facing off against Cloud. Now, I debated on if I showcase the cheese strat on Cloud, but lucky for you, I didn't have the abilities required to do so. So here's how to defeat Cloud. But before that, do know that this is another fight you can lose and still progress the game. But fuck that, we want to win. So in this version, Cloud will perform two moves. One is where he would rapidly dash attack. The other is where he will jump in the air and slam his blade down, which has a slight ability to track you. And he will most often perform the second attack after the first one, so play it safe. All we have to do is run around, dodge rolling the dash attacks for safety. Then when he does the jump slam attack, dodge and then do a combo. Then wait for another jump to avoid, and combo, rinse and repeat. And yes, I don't think mentioning his 3 swing attack was worth it, since unless you're standing close by him, he will never perform it anyway. Also, even if you are close enough for him to do the move, he can still sometimes do the dash move anyway. So don't want you to get tripped up. And besides, keeping your distance guarantees he will do the dash, which can be rolled to the side, or the jump, which can allow for damage, as also Cloud keeps his guard up a lot. In fact, he can guard cancel out of his 3 swing attack if you try to get some damage in while he does it. But with you defeating Cloud, or even losing, that's okay. I won't judge you to your face. It's time for the real main event, Cerberus. Now on the chance you did lose to Cloud, well, the game allows for your redemption here, as you must win this fight. I hope you're ready to dodge roll a lot. When the fight starts, Cerberus will stomp around and shoot fireballs from his mouth that fly into the sky and come crashing down. So stay close to him and dodge roll around. I don't know why, but I feel like staying close to him decreases the chances of the fireballs landing on Sora. If I'm wrong, but it feels that way. His next attack is where he will reel his heads back and then spew black goop on the ground, which will create dark geysers that appear from random spots on the ground, which we, of course, dodge roll around to avoid them. And the last attack he can do is, well, biting. This is the only time where you can get some damage in. That's reasonable. I mean, you can swing away with fireballs falling on you and black geysers rising on you, but why? Now, when he is biting, he will have a small pattern where all 3 heads will bite and then only 1 head will bite, and he can go back and forth on his 2 bite animations. I'm telling you this as it is crucial to learn this to determine when it's safe to run in and get some damage done, as you might not be able to do a full combo, and knowing when it's time to get out there or you'll get bit is going to stop any unwanted damage, which will lead to unwanted death. But after he gets done biting, the cycle repeats. He'll launch fireballs, spewing, biting. So this is what we call another rinse and repeat fight. But with that done and Sora's socials being bombarded with hateful comments about animal cruelty, we retrieve our junior license and get slapped in the face by having Hercules outright say he did all the work. And if that pissed you off like it did me when I was a kid, don't worry, we'll be giving him his just desserts soon enough. But for now, this world is over. I felt like I had a lot more to talk about when it came to Destiny Islands. Now, the reason I say to backtrack to Traverse Town to get to Olympus Coliseum is if you go to this world during this part of the game, you are forced to land on it no matter what. So we crash land on the world and immediately fight with Sabor. Just wait until he does a leap attack and then attack. Yes, I'm gonna say it, rinse and repeat. Now, on the off chance you're playing the original American version of this game along to the series, well, there'll be future videos that are completely useless to you, but Sabor, I feel, is easier in the Final Mix version, except for the last fight, but that's for later. Anyway, we're saved by Tarzan, and he wants us to follow him to the campsite. Now, before we jump off the treehouse, you see that boat in the distance with the chest? I'm sure that the game wants you to glide over to get it, but fuck that, we're getting it now. So go inside the treehouse and jump on the stairs. Oh, the game wants us to high jump. Double psych, just use these boxes in the corner here to climb up. Now ignore the ladder here inside the treehouse. What we want to do is jump around the treehouse and climb this ladder on the side to get us to the roof. Now that we are on the roof and we made this jump, to make sure we don't fail this, jump on this protruding wooden piece here. Now we can jump and attack all the way to the boat. And with that, we now have almost no reason to visit the treehouse when we're done with this world, as the story requires us to revisit here a lot. And there will be one thing that we need the treehouse for, but that's for a further video. When we land, we'll be at the campsite, and to save us some time, we can go around the campsite and collect 6 slides for a slideshow. One is near the chalk drawing of Tarzan, another is on a stack of boxes and suitcases right by the tent, another is on top of the tent. From the tent we can jump on these tarps to reach another slide, then drop to collect this slide on top of this dresser, and the final slide is on the giant stack of boxes. With all the slides collected, we can continue on by entering the tent to give them to Jane. Speaking of Jane real quick, one thing that pissed me off not only as a kid, but my very first time playing this game, is this.
Oh, you speak English?
It's like, of course he can speak. Look at what he's fucking wearing. Anyway, Clayton brings Donald and Goofy to the tent as well, instead of hunting them even though they are animals. Figure that one out. And look, they found a bag of gummy. And that's good enough to convince them that the people they are looking for must be here. We have ourselves a little slideshow, and Sora receives the bad news that his friends might not be here, only Sabor. Speaking of which, when we leave the tent, we have another round with him. Not much here, you can do the baiting trick if you want, but as you are seeing here, I decided to beat him down. Do know that he will do the leap to either Donald or Goofy, so you have more openings to punish, since he won't only focus on you this time. Now we have to meet the gorillas in the trees. The campsite has 2 exits. One is yellow, one is green. Our destination is the green. Now that we are in the Hippo's Lagoon, the game wants us to go to the nearest vines on the wall and reach what is like Treetops 1, then make our way through Treetops 2, but that's stupid. Instead, come over here, climb these trees, open this chest, and then we jump and start attacking. And this should allow us to reach this spot here, where we can open the chest and climb the vine. There is a chest you can get while you're here, but it requires a precise jump plus attack to get to that tree in order to get up to this tree to get the chest. And since it's precise, don't feel bad if you can't get it. Anyway, the reason I say reach the vine at the end of the Hippo's Lagoon is because climbing it will not only trigger the cutscene, but you'll be here where we can find and climb these vines, which leads to an area called Climbing Trees. If you play the game, you should know why I say climb this vine in the lagoon. You see, the game wants you to go among the trees and waste your time swinging from vine to vine, but by doing this, we can bypass all of it for now. And plus, this is a fast way to reach the treehouse, which we need to go to. After Donald saves the life of the monkey, shut up about it being a gorilla, it doesn't sound as funny. But now it's back to the campsite. That's right, we've watched our cutscene, now back to where we were. Do you see why I say skip past all the tree swinging bullshit? So back to the tent. There is another Sabor fight here, but I was already entering the tent. I didn't want to avoid it, but I'm sure you'll be fine. Clayton gets told he was doing the bad, and he's not going on the field trip to see the gorillas, so he can think about what he's done. Outside the tent, we find a helpless gorilla under attack. Why don't monkeys get along anymore? So for this part, we have to go around and beat up every heartless harassing a gorilla. One is, well, outside the tent. The second one is at the climbing trees. Also, I'm not saying you have to do this order, but since we've been moving all around the trees and campsite, you should be familiar with the area. The third one is in the treehouse. What a surprise. Back at the campsite, we now use the yellow exit to reach the bamboo thicket, which is where the next gorilla is. Now we just continue along to the cliffs and to the last gorilla we need to save. Now I think this is pretty damn stupid. To continue the story forward, you return to the tent and then leave. Anyway, the camera is like, hey yo, that came from the bamboo thicket, better check it out. So we do, and we get a Sabor, the final fight. Not much to say except he has a lot more health, he is noticeably more aggressive, and that's it. You should have tangled with him enough times to develop a proper pattern to beat him. But if you need any tip, obviously don't just assume you can beat him down like before as you see me getting royally fucked. So don't get cocky. Know when you can attack, use your friends as body shields like you do in real life. And know that in the original American version, when the Sabor went into the bamboo thicket, you would lose the lock on. We beat him so hard he started seeing Tarzan, and he dropped an item he was selflessly keeping in his mouth. Now, we came through here to locate Clayton, but fought a saber instead. Time to go back to the fucking tent. Oh no, Jane's gone. She's in the trees. So go to the climbing trees. So, we've been fighting monkeys. Clayton's been fighting his urge not to shoot monkeys. Tarzan's fighting his urge to ooga booga. So it's time to fight a big fucking fruit. Now, I'm going to out myself here, but I don't care. I honestly have no clue if you can just beat on the fruit until you win, or if you must first use ice on all the buds around the area. There are three. One is close by where you enter the area, or start the fight I should say. One is on the trunk, and the last one is next to Jane, or the entrance to the treehouse. Evil fruit be gone! Now we have to go to the cliffs. This road almost holds your hand the entire time, somewhat even spelling out where to go, but I guess now they figured we'll figure it out. Alright, time for the world boss, Clayton. Oh, sorry, you lost that bet. I know, I didn't think it would be Clayton either. It's not Clayton.
Yes, not Clayton. You'll never find the most evil in the world of monkeys and trees. One moment you're going from tents to trees forever. The next you're dealing with a not Clayton. But disembodied voice, how do I tell the person is a not Clayton, I hear you ask? Well, worry not. This is a tutorial series after all. Just follow this simple checklist. Do they possess great big chins? Do they pronounce gorillas? Do they look like a cartoon character? And lastly, do they have strong urges to shoot little boys? Then you may be dealing with a not Clayton. Should you find yourself dealing with a not Clayton, please locate your nearest Keyblade and beat them in a boss fight. This message has been approved by the Emperor.
Well, you heard the public service announcer. We have some monkeys to kill. While not necessary, I say do it cause hey, it's a little more experience. During this moment, Clayton will just jump around and shoot. He will give an audible "Hiya!" or a quote before firing, so you can use that as a cue as when to dodge. I know I got hit, and I know he doesn't always do the audio cue, but it's a little something to use if you can't see Clayton. But Clayton doesn't really pose a threat here, as he aims at Donald and Goofy as well as jumping around when anyone gets close. With all the monkeys done, we can focus on Clayton. Here's the skinny. He will fire his shotgun. You can use not only the audio but visual cues now to tell when he will do this, and simply dodge the attack, and if you're close by after he shoots, you can attack. Also, when Clayton super jumps around, if you get to where he'll land, you can get some damage in. But all that is required is a few combos to get the, I guess, real fight started. Clayton will start riding a stealth sneak. Other than that, he doesn't really get more dangerous himself. What I mean is, we focus on the stealth sneak. As long as you stay in the air, most of the stealth sneak's attacks will miss you, except the dash attack. But it's hard to see when he's doing that for obvious reasons, until we beat it enough times to break his cloaking device. With us now able to see the thing, we continue fighting the same. However, during this phase, as you keep attacking, Clayton will eventually be knocked off. Now, you can switch targets back to Clayton to quickly finish the fight, since Clayton is the boss here. But you know me, let's keep beating the stealth sneak for those experience points. Besides Clayton staying the same, jumping around and yelling "Hee-yah" and shit like that before shooting everybody, with the stealth sneak's eyes start to glow, you could keep your distance. However, you can simply time your jumps to get some damage while staying safe. But finish the stealth sneak and finish Clayton. Also, the following cutscene has the stealth sneak damaged and falling on Clayton, even if you don't bother killing it. Also, for whatever reason, I feel like stating that if you feel stuck on this fight and I didn't help, it's simple, don't panic over Clayton's gunfire and kill the stealth sneak, as it may get some cheap shots in. With the fight over with, we get thrown on top of the mountain and make our way to the caves. The caves will contain 3 chests for us to collect. I honestly feel like I really don't need to say how to get them, as you need to climb up, and as you do so, you should be able to find them all. But once you make your way up to the top, into the keyhole room, and seal the keyhole, and receive a gummy. And now, we can make our way back to Traverse Town, and with that, we have reached the end of part 1. This is the moment where most others would ask viewers to partake in, the call of action. The whole like, sub, and all that shit. Me?